What's up guys, my name is Ryan and I recently returned from exploring the country of Malta and I want to share with you my favorite places and experiences, so here's my Malta Top 10. Located in the Mediterranean Sea between Africa and Italy, Malta is an island country home to incredible scenery, culture, and history. From cliff jumping in Comino Island to exploring the city of Valletta, Malta is waiting to be experienced. Let's start this video off at Gozo. Located about an hour and a half from the airport, Gozo is the second largest island in Malta. It's pretty easy to get to Gozo. We just drove to the ferry terminal at the northern end of Malta's main island and it was a fast 25-minute ride. One of the first places we visited on Gozo was the Blue Hole, situated on Gozo's western coast. The Blue Hole is this really cool swimming spot. Before 2017, there was this amazing arch here, but it unfortunately collapsed in the sea. When we were here, there was a good amount of people, but it was still super fun to swim in the natural pool area. I swam down and then there was this underwater arch that led into the open sea. Afterwards, I went swimming outside the Blue Hole and explored more of the shoreline. The water was just so incredibly clear and there were some underwater cliff walls that were so much fun to swim by. Right next to the Blue Hole is the Inland Sea. It's this little village that has a body of water that is connected to the Mediterranean by a natural tunnel. We walked down to the village and I went for a swim to check out the passageway. You can take a boat tour for about 10 euros and go through the tunnel out to the sea. Another really cool place nearby is Fungus Rock. It's this beautiful rock formation right by this scenic bay. We came here later in the day and it was a perfect place to watch the sunset. This whole area is just stunning. After, we're going to head inland to visit the Citadella. Located in the town of Victoria, the history of this fortress is fascinating. It's believed the first fortifications were built here around the year 1500 BC, and it served as an acropolis for the Phoenicians and Romans. During medieval times, the acropolis was converted into a castle, which served as a refuge for the people who lived in Gozo. Over the centuries, the fortress faced many attacks, with the largest taking place in 1551 when Ottomans overtook the castle after a siege that took several days. Today, it's a massive fortress and it's very well preserved. I really enjoyed walking along the pathways along the Citadel's walls. Everything was in such good condition, you really felt like you were walking into Malta's Middle Ages. Another beautiful feat of architecture on Gozo is the Pinu Basilica. Malta has a ton of beautiful churches, and this one was one of my favorites. It's not the oldest church, it was completed in 1932, but I think it's one of the most scenic. The basilica is located just a few minutes drive from Victoria, and there's a parking lot nearby, making it very easy to visit. The architecture of the church is beautiful. I particularly love the clock tower. Out front of the basilica, there's a nice area with these beautiful red circles and mosaic that tell the story of Christ. The interior of the church was equally stunning, with impressive rock pillars and so much attention to detail. The churches of Europe never cease to amaze me. While we're still on Gozo, we're going to head to the northern side of the island to visit the salt pans. Located about 10 minutes drive from Victoria, the salt pans are a really interesting area where rock pools have been made to put seawater, and as it evaporates, it leaves sea salt behind. It's a pretty peculiar place, and there's also some nice beaches in the area. A little up the coast from the salt pans is the il-Għasri. It's a scenic little gorge that leads out to the sea. It's a bit of a walk down depending where you park, but the water is super clear and refreshing down there, especially on a hot summer day. After, we're going to head on the southwestern side of Gozo to visit Xlendi. Located just a few minutes drive from Victoria, Xlendi is this beautiful village located right on the sea. What I really liked about the area is the amount of places to swim, and there's so many spots you could walk out to, whether it was this secluded cove or you could go out a little further by this historic watchtower and some more salt pans. There were also some really nice places to swim by the village. I really liked the diving board you could jump off of. Another incredible feature of the area are the sea cliffs. They're so huge and you have a really nice view of them from Xlendi. The Sanap cliffs are also nearby and they are stunning. This whole area just looks magical, especially during sunset. After, we're going to leave Gozo to head back to Malta's main island to visit Valletta. Located about 15 minutes from the airport, Valletta is a sight to see. With only an area of 0.61 square kilometers, it's the European Union's smallest capital city. The history of Valletta is just fascinating. It was established in 1566 after the Knights of Malta defeated the Ottomans who attempted to conquer Malta in the Great Siege. And in the year 1571, Valletta became the capital city. During World War II, Valletta received a lot of destruction due to German and Italian air raids, which destroyed a lot of the significant buildings. Thankfully, the capital has been restored, and today Valletta is a beautiful city to experience. Driving in Valletta is limited, so we took the Sliema ferry over, and it gave us an incredible view of the city. I really enjoyed walking the streets of the capital. All the buildings were fascinating. It's a perfect mixture of Baroque and modern architecture. I was particularly impressed by the massive walls that protected the city. They're just so huge and massive, and I can't imagine imagine how hard it was to construct them hundreds of years ago. One of the most iconic features of Valletta is the Mount Carmel Basilica. The original church was founded here in the 1600s, but it was severely damaged in World War II and was rebuilt in 1981 after about 23 years of construction. I mean, the dome was particularly impressive inside. Now, if you want to get a great view of Valletta, there's a lot of beach areas in the cities that surround the capital that offer amazing vantage points. We went to Tingia Point, and there everyone was just chilling and enjoying the views and the sea, and I wish I could have spent some time swimming there. I mean, regardless, the capital and area around Valletta is one of the most incredible places in Malta that you gotta experience while you're here. After, we're gonna visit the city of Mdina. Located about a 20-minute drive from Valletta, Mdina is a historic city perched on a hill. It was first established around the 8th century BC by the Phoenicians, and it was called An. It suffered a lot through the centuries, and it was almost completely abandoned, but in the 11th century AD, the city was refounded, and that's how it got its name, Mdina. It became an important city, and during the Middle Ages, it was the capital of Malta until 1530. Now today, Mdina is one of the most visited places in Malta, and after coming here, I understand why. I really enjoyed walking through the fortified old town. There's basically no cars, and it has been nicknamed the Silent City. I mean, there's so many alleyways to just walk down and explore. If you're a fan of Game of Thrones, you'll love this place, as Mdina served as a film location for the city of King's Landing. Now, one of my favorite features of Mdina is the gate to get into the fortified city. It was built in 1724 and displays beautiful Baroque architecture. I mean, if you want to go back in time, I highly recommend visiting Mdina. Now, if you want to see some of Malta's scenic places, you could visit the Blue Grotto. It's located not too far from the airport. There's a nice overlook where you can get a great view of the cave and unique rock arch. Now, another popular place to go is St. Peter's Pool. It's located on the eastern side of the island, about 25 minutes from Valletta. St. Peter's Pool is this unique swimming area. We came here around the evening during the peak of summer, so it was packed, but I'm sure other times of the year, it's not as busy. The main reason I want to come here was to do some cliff jumping, and there were some nice spots to jump into the sea. I mean, the whole area was such a vibe, and I'd love to come earlier in the day to explore a little more. Another beautiful place on the coast is the Corral Lagoon. It's located on the northwestern side, and it's this unique rock feature. People would kayak or take their paddleboards in. Unfortunately, I didn't have one, but it was really cool to observe from above. I wish I would have came midday when the sun was shining directly into the water, but regardless, it was such a cool place to check out. For our final destination, we're going to visit Comino. Located between Gozo and Malta's main island, Comino is one of the main reasons I want to come to Malta. Now, to get to Comino, you can get a boat tour departing from both Gozo and Malta's main island. You can take a group or private tour, or you can also take a self-drive boat. We decided to take a private boat tour since it can be a little stressful navigating a boat by yourself, and we had a great time. I mean, there's so many caves to explore around Comino. We swam into this one, and it had this beach covered in darkness at the end. Another cool place we went to was this area that looked to be a collapsed cave with a sea arch, and we swam into it, and I believe they filmed parts of the Popeye movie, which was made back in 1980. We had such a good time swimming here. The water was just so clear and deep. One of the more popular places in Comino is the Blue Lagoon. We didn't spend too much time here because it was pretty busy, but it's a spot a lot of people go to swim. Now, one of my main goals of coming to Comino and Malta in general was finding some cliff jump spots, and Comino didn't disappoint. Our boat captain showed us some places we could cliff jump from, and it was just so much fun. We found this nice ledge. It was about 5 meters high, and it was a nice place to warm up. After I went to this higher spot, I was a little scared. I haven't done a gainer off something this high for a while, but I sent it, and it was just such a fun place to jump. And there's truly no better feeling than cliff jumping into the Mediterranean. Well, that is it from my Malta top 10. There's still so many places I wasn't able to explore, so I'll have to come back for part 2. Let me know where your favorite place is in Malta in the comments below. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at shirley.films. It's Ryan, and we will see you later.